All right, and we are live, everyone. Welcome to Fandomology, where fandoms collide. And by the way, I have to credit Jonathan for that catchphrase. We're not using where the fandom is the force and the force is family. That was a good placeholder, but John really came through on that one. So our new tag is where fandoms collide. Anyways, I am Paul, joined by Lord Crit. And tonight we are going to be talking about Aliens, the sequel to Alien. Now, if you guys remember last week when we streamed about this movie, I didn't like Alien. And I know I promised Crits a rewatch of it. Um, I don't know by the way if it's going to be able to happen this week, Crits, because of my travel, but it will happen at some point, and I'll do maybe a re-review of it, and we'll see how I like it then. But anyways, for now, I did not like Alien because it was a horror movie. It was a well-made horror movie. I'll give you that. But it was a horror movie nonetheless, and therefore this movie, however, is not a horror movie. There's some horror-ish elements to it, but it's an action movie and one that I really liked. So anyways, before we continue on, we have the Matt Cave in here who says such a fun movie. Leia Rose says Alien, I really found them not friendly, but I would need to use my dark saber on all of them. Understandable. Artsy Finch, by the way, I like that Grievous picture, says I remember really liking this movie. And Pacific 4 with the clip of game over, man, game over. Yes. By the way, this is a pop-in stream tonight, so if you want to talk about this movie with us, the link is here in the pinned comment. So, Crit, as always, overall, what do you think of this movie?
I love it. Game over, man. Game over.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Get your floaties, it's game over.
Okay. this is this is a 10 out of 10. So
Yes, in fact, let's go ahead and get this part out of the way now. Actually, no, we'll save that for the end, like usual. Um, By the way, hello to Woopa Troopa who says, I've never watched this movie, but I could pop in and say some random stuff that doesn't make any sense.
you had the chance, you missed it.
Yeah, we watch these movies all the time on the Discord. And I make sure to tag everyone so that we know, hey, this is what we're doing.
And this is a movie you missed, so you should
Yeah.
feel upset that
It
you
is,
missed it.
and Pacific is right. It is absolutely a classic. So yeah, Pacific, if you wanna come in and talk about this with us, here is the link. And by the way, I also sent Spock the link. Also, he should be joining. I just haven't heard from him. All right, so let's go ahead and get into. Actually, before we even get into the story, let's talk about this first. The fact that it's made by a different director. So Ridley Scott made the first one. And like I said,
Yep.
he wanted to make it a horror movie, which he did a good job of that. Why? And I don't think you really explained this to me, Crit. Why did Ridley Scott not make the second one?
Um, let's see here. Ridley Scott. They've been trying to make a. They wanted to do a sequel for a while. Um, uh, basically, the head of Fox was now Ridley Scott. That was kind of just a job. He did not write the movie,
Really? I
but
thought he did.
at first, one of the people they didn't want a sequel to Alien. They thought it would contaminate it, the essence of the first one. The new studio head, Fox got a new studio head who came across a script, a script called The Terminator, and he liked it a lot, and they were making that movie, And then he found the young writer that was also doing Rambo Part 2. He found Mr. Jim Cameron, and he's like, "Hey Jim, I really like your Terminator script, and you're working on that right now. Would you like to do an Alien sequel?"
So hold on a second. James Cameron also did Rambo 2.
He wrote the script for Rambo Part 2. He didn't direct.
Wow. I really got to see that movie then.
Yeah, it's not as good as
Where
Aliens.
is Kane?
Kane.
But anyways, how are you doing tonight, Mike?
I can't complain, brother. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. So Mike, what do you think of Aliens?
Oh, it's one of those sci-fi action classics. I mean, as you guys were already mentioning, this movie was directed by James Cameron, and he took it in a different direction than what Ridley Scott had it in the first one. As you guys mentioned, the first one was more sci-fi horror. This is more of a sci-fi action movie. You know,
Yes.
you have Ripley waking up on a completely different Earth than what it was when she left, and finding out about this colony, and going, you guys shouldn't be there. What the heck are you doing there?
Yeah.
So,
And go ahead, Crit.
oh no, continue. I was going to continue with my history on how this movie.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, so Jim Cameron had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend was also the producer of the Terminator, and so they had him. He was kind of new to directing. Remember, he directed this movie right after he directed the Terminator, so he was working on this when he was working on the Terminator, so consecutively. And so Fox. Fox. So basically, his girlfriend Gail Ann Hurd liked the idea that he was doing this Aliens film, and you know what? I'm gonna ask Fox, and I'm gonna produce it for you, and we will make the budget not as big. So imagine your girlfriend will produce your movie for you.
That is interesting.
And pretty much, yep, that's how Aliens happened. So,
Okay.
And the Fox thought Gail Ann Hurd would not be a good producer
Really?
because she was the girlfriend of James Cameron.
So they thought it was just going to be a case of nepotism.
Yeah, but James Cameron said she's the only one that would stand up to him. So,
Nice. Okay. So with that all in mind, let's go ahead and get into the story. So we last left Ripley. She's frozen in an escape pod after having her ship, the Nostromo, destroyed and all of the crew killed by this alien organism that they had picked up on this alien planet that they were investigating. There was the crew member Kane that, of course, got too close to something he shouldn't have, and this weird thing grabbed hold of his face, and it let go of him eventually, but then this weird alien burst from his chest, killing him, and the alien then grew to pretty much full size and picked off all the members of the crew one by one. And Ripley was the last survivor, and she defeated the alien, by setting her ship, the Nostromo, to self-destruct, thinking that would kill the alien. However, the alien ended up stowing away on her escape pod, and she had to basically send it out into the vacuum of space. And after that, she freezes herself in cryosleep for the voyage home, but that's not but she doesn't end up actually making it. Well, she makes it home, but not to the home that she knows. So she gets found, of all things, by a salvage ship that wakes her up and brings her into, I'm going to call it this world's version of Earth space dock. And she is being evaluated, and she has and she's having, it's very clear right off the jump that she has major PTSD from her encounter with the alien in the first movie, because she has a bad dream that she's getting examined by the doctors and everything seems to be going well, but she starts feeling bad and it looks like her torso is about to burst open with an alien, but it's a bad dream. And it's one of those things where she just wakes up in a cold sweat, panicking. And so she's having to go through psych evaluations for this. Meanwhile, there is this sleazy guy in a suit. I'm blanking out on his name. Do you guys remember?
Well, Riser.
I don't think that's him. The guy that Crit, help me out here. The guy that she first meets that ends up going to that planet with them and backstabbing them.
No, that's not Paul Riser. Sorry.
Give me a minute. I'll look it up.
I'll look it up, bro.
So anyways, okay, so while Pacific looks it up, this guy is a representative of the company that Ripley works, well, in effect, still works for.
Wayland Yutani.
Wayland Yutani, yes. So he is a representative of the company that Ripley effectively still works for from the first movie. And she has to give the board of directors a debrief on what exactly happened to her. And it's kind of one of those things, and the fact, now that I think about it, it's kind of the same thing as Arcane. Remember in Arcane, Crit, when Jace first goes before the council and he's instructed not to mention magic, but does it anyway and pretty much gets thrown out for it?
Yep.
That's exactly what happens here. Ripley is instructed not to mention anything about the aliens, but she does anyway when she realizes that that this alien planet that she visited in the first movie, there's now been a colony set up there and they're terraforming it. But oh, by the way, Artsy Finch is another Arcane fan. Awesome. We're going to be doing sort of a second look review of that at some point very soon, because Michael has not yet seen Arcane.
Mike has not seen Arcane.
Yep. Mike Pacific.
That's true.
Yep.
And
So-
Phil McCracken.
Phil McCracken hasn't, and Green Lantern hasn't. So we're going to be showing Arcane for the people that haven't seen it, and then we'll bring them on and let them talk about it from the first time point of view, as well as me talking about it in case there was things that I missed before. In fact, wait, no, never mind. That's not going to work. I was going to say, in fact, I may show it to Michael on the way to Myrtle Beach this week, but that's not going to work very well because I think we can agree, Crit, Arcane is not something Jonathan should be seeing, right?
No, there's some risque parts.
Yeah.
So.
And with us being in such close quarters, there's no
think-
way to do it without Jonathan seeing.
I think he would be traumatized by episode 3.
Yeah. So we're going to just, so yeah, forget that I said anything about that. But anyways, back to the story. So because she is not willing to shut up about the aliens and is going on about how these aliens need to be wiped out, she's basically suspended indefinitely from her job as a Starship crew member and is basically given has to go through psych evaluations for it. And she, of course, is pissed off at this, but at the same time feels like the company's hiding something. And of course, they won't say what it is. And real quick, hello to Eddie Gannon. What's up, Eddie? Again, this is a pop-in stream, Eddie, and I know you were there watching that movie with us. So if you want to join us in reviewing it, the link is right here. So this beginning section, seeing how Ripley has changed from the first movie to the second, what did you guys think?
PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame her for acting different in this movie compared to the last movie because of what she experienced.
Yeah, and I said this immediately after we watched the movie this past, yesterday. It Ripley's character and how it changes in this movie compared to the last one reminded me a lot of Sarah Connor. Compare her from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, because both female lead characters pretty much play the scared survivor in the first movie. They're just trying to survive the monster that's coming after them with everything that they can. In the second movie, though, both have grown into these strong, bad A characters that are now going to bring the fight back to the monster. Would you say that's a good comparison?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I prefer Ripley over Sarah Connor though.
I
Mm,
I
I
like
don't
them
know
both.
how I feel about that.
no, it's not really a good. Well, there is no comparison. So
Right. But I'm just saying, what happens to them.
oh, I guess. um, let's see. Well, there's some details. They kind of don't. They kind of don't like explain it, but there's obviously a time gap after that meeting. I feel like
Yep.
it's like a couple months.
And hello, by the way, to Eddie. And I see you're wearing your new Undertaker shirt. I love it. Can you show us the whole thing?
Sure.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Very nice.
That is beautiful.
Now
All right.
we watched a cut where after this scene they would actually show Hadley's Hope, the colony, before they discover. But that scene kind of ruins the whole mystery of the colony, even though it's brief.
So that's why you specifically showed me the
Theatrical.
theatrical cut. Okay. I know, and Matt Cave mentioned this before, that many people consider the director's cut the superior cut, much like Terminator and Terminator 2. And
I think we watched a hybrid cut because I remembered the Sentry scene was there, and that wasn't in the theatrical. But that was very important to the story.
Yeah, that's. I didn't know any better, like you said. So if that was indeed not in the original theatrical cut, good on them for including that. So, anyways, though, Eddie, overall, what's your thoughts on the Aliens movie?
Well, I thought it was an absolute brilliant. I mean, the original, the original, as we saw there last night. It was it was fundamentally an action movie, and I was just pure and I mean, especially towards the end whereby Ripley put on the was put on the loader, and when we saw Bishop getting ripped in half,
Yeah.
But at the start, it was actually unsettling, whereby when she when the alien was popping out of her stomach, and it was during the dream sequence.
Yes.
And but overall, it was a brilliant action movie. I mean,
Absolutely, it was. So,
the funny part was I think it was Hudson,
Hmm.
where like who played. I think it was Bill Pullman.
Bill
Played
Paxton.
Claxton. Sorry, yeah. He like he remind me of like I don't know whether you remember like the Rocky like Rocky Balboa scene where he just said, "So we did it, we did it."
Hmm. The
Yeah.
whole "it's game over, man, game
Game
over."
over, man. Game over.
Yes. So, anyways, continuing on with the story, immediately after this, that sleazy guy in the suit approaches her with a member of the Colonial Marine Corps, talking about how they want to offer her a job that would actually get her back her original Starship crew member thing. But, and basically the idea is that she does not, she's basically there as an advisor, and she would basically be there to tell the team of Marines what to do and how to handle these different creatures. Oh, and by the way, I looked it up. The guy is Carter. The guy's name, the sleazy guy in the suit, is named Carter Burke, and the Marine that visits her with Burke is a guy named
Yeah,
Lieutenant
and that's Paul
Norman.
Reiser who played him.
Yes.
That's who I mentioned before. Sorry, I went by the actor's name instead of the character name.
Yeah. So, at first she flat out refuses, because why in the world would she want to go back to the place that she still has nightmares about? However, after yet another nightmare, and maybe this is my interpretation of what happened, but the way I looked into it was she realized that if she didn't go, she really won't have closure over the whole situation. So she calls up Burke. Thank you, by the way, Pacific. I just got that. I'm inputting it in here now. She calls up
Welcome.
Burke and says, "All right, I've changed my mind. I'm going." And then in the next scene, we meet all of the Marines. And these are your stereotypical Marines. The ones to point out are...
Well, Paul, this is the one that created the stereotype, because every movie afterwards would just steal from this movie.
I believe it. So anyways, the ones to note are Corporal Hicks, played, believe it or not, by the same guy, I forget his name, the same guy that plays...
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn.
Michael
He
Biehn, who was
plays
Kyle Reese in Terminator.
Kyle Reese, yes. And there's also Sergeant Apone, who is, of course, your stereotypical hard-nosed sergeant. There is Hudson, who is the lowest man on the totem pole, and is like, oh man, why am I getting dragged into this? And yes, he's the guy that does the whole game over meme, which that's actually what Pacific sent me.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Yep, that was him. And then there's also Vasquez. And Crit, I'll let you talk about Vasquez here, since you...
Vasquez is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically, when we had that talk about tomboys, I always thought about Vasquez. My dad said she was a grunt, but no, she wanted to be one of the boys. And, and if you mocked her about it, she would just knock you on your... She did not want to be a boy. She wanted to be one of the boys.
Yeah, she wanted to be basically be seen as equal to them.
Yep. And I have to say this, she's not actually...
What'd you say, Eddie?
She's an absolute badass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eddie. I have to do it to you.
That language, and for gosh sake, watch your language.
Boo.
Oops.
That should be an exception. But yeah.
That's
And
an
the unfortunate truth is Vasquez, as cool as she is, she's not actually Latina. She's a Jew. She is a white woman, tanned, and doing a Spanish accent, but
It convinced me.
it's convincing. And from what I heard, they could not find an actress with muscles like that. Her physique reminded me a lot of Caitlyn from Arcane. Since we're bringing it, or Vi, I think it was more Vi.
Yeah, that's what I saw more in her was Vi.
But I will look. I will give that a pass because she does it so well. But I'm sure in this day and age, there would be outrage over
There'd be outrage this day and age, but
Yeah.
I look at it this way: they're actors. They're pretending. They're playing a role, and
Yes.
the actress that plays Vasquez does it well.
Do you know in the old days of Japanese theater, all female roles would be played by a man?
I believe it. And by the way, hello to my buddy Moss Pierce. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So anyways, they're all, somewhat getting to know each other, getting to know Ripley. They wake up on their approach to the planets, and it's kind of the same setup as in the first movie, where you know how in the first movie they wake up and they're all sitting around having breakfast and all that. Kind of the same thing here. Throw in a couple pull-ups at some point, and they're all getting to know Ripley, who is kind of, she kind of keeps to herself. But although at one point she starts helping out by using this loader machine that I'm confident the Matrix and Avatar stole that. I stole the idea for those suits from this. What do you guys think?
I mean, like Fritz said, there were other movies that would borrow things from this movie because this movie did it first, and they thought they could do it better.
In reference to what?
The loader suit, I'm positive that the big suits that they wear in Matrix Revolutions and in Avatar were inspired by, if not outright ripped off, the loader suit in Aliens.
Well, James Cameron designed some of the stuff in this too. So he also he designed everything in Avatar himself. So
yeah,
I don't think those are rip-offs. I think those are just, that's kind of James Cameron's style, his thought process, his imagination. The Matrix, on the other hand, I totally think that was a rip-off.
fair enough.
I went to see a movie there today called Lightyear.
Yeah.
But basically, it started off like very much like this movie. It was it was kind of that eerie feeling, like in the space, and and they're trying to get home, but it's But as I say, that, I mean that's how it kind of starts off. But I mean, then I go. It was actually a very enjoyable movie by me.
Okay. So eventually they arrive at. Actually, no. Getting ahead of myself. During the breakfast scene, Ripley notices that one of the guys next to him acts a little funny. Number one, he does this knife trick with Hudson. You know the thing where you spray your fingers like this across the table and then do the knife thing? He's able to do that at like superhuman speeds. And he's sitting next to Ripley and then takes that knife and for whatever, I don't know why, but for whatever reason jams it into his thumb and he bleeds white. And this freaks Ripley out because this guy, Bishop, is an android. And if you don't remember from the last movie, I forget what his name is. It's the guy
Ash.
Ash. Yep.
He's
Played by the guy,
purity.
played by
I-
Ian Holm, the guy that goes on to play Bilbo Baggins.
I admire its purity.
Yep.
I had
He was also an android, and he nearly tried to kill Ripley at one point because he was programmed to protect the alien. So naturally, Ripley's freaking out. I was like, you all never said anything about us having an android along on the ride. And of course, like, why would that be an issue? And she talks about what happened. Is like, oh, that's an earlier model android. There's like some sort of behavior inhibitor in these new models that prevents that sort of thing. And then she's like, fine, just stay away from me. So, just random question. How do you think Ripley would have acted around Data in this same situation?
He probably still would have freaked out.
And how do you think Data would have taken it?
I did not mean to offend you.
I am an android. I'm incapable of being offended. But yeah. So anyways, eventually they get to the point where they're at the planet and they're going to start their descent down to the surface. And we get more of, again, your stereotypical Marine type behavior where they're hyping each other up and say, yeah, you're the toughest guy around. These aliens have no chance. We're going to beat them. You know, that sort of stuff. And
it's a bug hunt.
yeah. And of course, Hudson is acting like the biggest loudmouth of all of them. But of course, Vasquez too. Which, by the way, Vasquez has one of the biggest guns in this movie, which was really cool because it's a minigun type weapon that apparently is so heavy you have to be harnessed into it that has a mechanical arm that helps you hold it. What is the official name of that gun?
Let me see. Aliens weaponry. So there's the, I think, M14A. That's the
Yes.
pulse rifle they use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, M41A. That's the, and then there's the M56. That's the smart gun that they hold. So, and that is a automatic weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Free floating recoil. So interesting. Wow. This alien wiki page reads like a whole document. I might have to save this.
You're looking at Xenopedia also?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only doing it, by the way, to help remember names and such. I can remember the plot just fine. But anyways, continuing on.
56.
They land on the planet, and they move up in teams. And by the way, the colony is trashed. Like, trashed. There is no one there. And a lot of, there's just a lot of stuff that's in wreckage. They get inside the building and see that certain areas of the floor have been melted through, which I'll remind you guys, the alien's blood, for those that don't remember, is a very, very powerful acid. And that's going to come into play at a certain, in certain sections of this movie. But they're scouting through, and at first they don't see anything. And this is where it slightly goes back into that horror movie territory, where where they're setting up a situation to make you more anxious and anticipate, okay, something's going to jump out around the corner. Where is it? What is it? That sort of thing. And we already said that this is an action movie compared to Alien, which is a pure horror movie. But the times that it does dip back into that horror movie, atmosphere, how well do you guys think it pulls it off?
Does it quite well. I just think Ridley Scott did it better when it came to that. This is more it's more thrilling, I will say.
Yeah, I could see that. So they continue along until eventually they reach the laboratory. And in the laboratory they find these, for lack of a better term, Bacta tanks, even though that's not Bacta in there, that have face huggers in them. And of the face huggers that are in the tanks, 2 of them are still alive. And you can bet that's going to be important later. And we see, by the way, what one of these looks like that's actually alive and not stuck to someone's face, what their mouth looks like. And I'm going to bring up something real quick. It reminds me of a fish that actually exists. So have y'all ever heard of a fish called a lamprey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for those that don't know what a lamprey is, that's a lamprey. And seeing the mouth of a face hugger reminds me so much of that. So let's get that ugliness out of there. And they continue exploring through, and eventually they pick up motion on their motion detectors that they have on the attachments of their guns. And they follow it, and they think it's an alien, but it turns out to be a little girl. And the little girl, it's obvious she's been there for a while, and she is scared of pretty much anything that moves at this point. But Ripley manages to chase after her and catch up to her in this sort of like chamber in the air vents that she's been living in. And she takes them back with the others. They check her out, and they say, quote, she's borderline on malnutrition, but other than that, she's okay. Physically, she's okay. But mentally, you can tell she has seen some stuff. And so Ripley is trying to bond with this girl. Now, I want to real quick go back a little bit to a detail that I kind of skipped over when we talked about Ripley waking up. Ripley wakes up something like 70 years in the future from Aliens 1. She had a daughter who was 11 during the time of Alien, but now in Aliens 2, her daughter passed away of old age. And so part of what Ripley's issue is just dealing with the fact that her daughter is unfortunately passed away. But part of why Ripley bonds so much with Newt, because that's what the girl's name ends up being, is because she feels like she's getting a second chance at being a mother since she missed out on her actual daughter. Would you guys say that's a good interpretation?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Spot on.
Spot on, yeah.
So anyways, as far as Newt goes, how do you guys think they did with her, especially in comparison to, and I won't say specifics, certain other shows that have had little kids in them alongside the action heroes?
She's a little doll. She's a great little child actress. They found a diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be easy to do a role like that where there's really no speaking lines. It's all based on her body language and her facial expressions.
Yeah.
They could have had her screaming at every scene, but they should very good character. I think Carrie Henn was just really great as Newt.
I think she was. And you know what? I'll just come out and say it. I'm like positive the whole vibe of the girls there to be cute and be adorable alongside the action heroes. I'm pretty convinced that Star Wars stole that idea Maybe not for Baby Yoda at first. At least I didn't get that sense from him at first. But I could certainly see that with Omega and Leia. What do you guys think?
Yep.
So, continuing on.
I need to apologize, Paul. My internet's cutting in and out, so I think I've got to go.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I understand. But thank you for popping on for the amount of time that you did.
You're welcome, brother. You guys have a good night.
You too. And hey, man, we got to play some more Turtles.
Oh, yeah. We got to get a 6-man team up going on.
Yes,
I
we
got
do.
it installed, so
I have it on Game Pass.
I have it on Steam, but I also had Game Pass, and that's really the only way to play with anybody that's on Xbox if you have it on Game Pass.
Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna see if I can actually get it installed from Game Pass right now as we do this.
all right. Since we're talking about aliens, Mike, do you want to install Fireteam if you got Game Pass?
I'm going to.
Real quick, what is Fireteam?
It's an aliens game.
Yeah.
It's a co-op. It's basically a co-op aliens game that you can get on Game Pass.
Okay.
It's not Chrono Marines. That game sucks. Well, I actually have a love-hate relationship with that game. But yeah.
Yeah, me too.
All right. I'm looking for both of those right now, by the way.
All right, brother. You guys have a good night.
See you later.
Take care, Mike.
Take care, Eddie.
Bye, Mike.
All right. So anyways, they continue to search the facility, and they go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. By this point, Ripley and Gorman and what was the guy's name again? Burke. They have gone back to sort of the observation vehicle to watch while Sergeant Apone and Corporal Hicks and Vasquez and Hudson and all of them continue deeper. And they notice that the walls start changing as they go down. It looks less and less manufactured and more organic. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what the interior of the giant ship in the first movie, where the aliens' eggs were found. Now, let me ask you this, Crit. Obviously, we know that the aliens made the walls like that in this movie. Did they also do that in the previous one?
No, that was a derelict ship by the engineers.
Okay.
It's possible the aliens killed the engineers.
Well, if you remember the movie Prometheus,
I have not seen Prometheus.
I don't think you would like Prometheus, Eddie. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
I went to the cinema and saw that, though. To me, that's just off-brand Alien, though.
It is the sequel, though. Sorry, the prequel.
Yeah, it is a prequel.
It kind of starts from the origin story of how that ship got there, you know.
So, eventually, they come to this absolutely horrific scene where they see people have been captured by these aliens and held up, pretty much strung up like this in these cocoons, is the best way to put it. And most of them are dead, but they find one that's still alive, and it's clear that she is in a very, very, very bad way. And she's like pleading with them, please help me. But no sooner does she say that, but she starts convulsing, much like Kane did in the last movie, and a chest burster starts to emerge. And unfortunately, the Marines have no choice but to completely torch her with their flamethrowers. It's also worth noting, by the way, that the structure directly under where they are is a fusion reactor. And because of the type of ammunition they're shooting, which are incendiary rounds, if they shoot their guns and let any stray round hit the walls, basically a giant nuclear explosion could result from this. So anyways, because they had destroyed that unfortunate soul that had the chest burster coming from them, the aliens are alerted. And it's revealed that the aliens were actually there the whole time, blending into the walls. Like they had somehow mishmashed themselves like a big Twister game to look like they were the actual texture of the walls. But then they start moving, and they attack the Marines. And what follows is an absolute bloodbath that we barely see, by the way. We really only see what happens from the point of view of the little helmet cameras that they have like right here on them. But we just see almost every single one of these guys get absolutely messed up by the aliens. Sergeant Apone dies. Other people die. Vasquez, Hicks, and Hudson, they managed to make it out.
Ripley comes in with the APC.
Yes, and she also tries to get them on the mic, saying, "Listen, get out of there." And of course, Vasquez the whole time, when she kept some actual bullets when they were relegated only to flamethrowers. She kept some actual bullets against orders, and so she and another guy were actually shooting instead of just spraying and praying with their flamethrowers. And that unfortunately started the breakdown sequence for the fusion reactor, which will eventually result in the whole place going up in how do they describe what like a big hydrogen bomb?
Kind of.
So anyways, they're all making their way back to the APC. The aliens are right on their tails. And Vasquez shoots one of the aliens who happens to be attacking one of her battle buddies. And unfortunately, her battle buddy gets some of the alien's inner juices flung onto his face. And we do see a little bit of his face melted away from the acid. And he unfortunately dies, not just from that, but from a big explosion. And so, for the first of many times, we're going to be playing this clip tonight for all the people, for all of the Marines that died in that initial first wave of the alien attack.
Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die! Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die! Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die! He ain't gonna jump no more!
What I really like about this movie is that when you see the aliens, they make it brief, like always. But it still gives the illusion like there's so many aliens there when you only see like a few on screen because it's so chaotic. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. So, by the way, I'm installing now the Turtle game, and
Turtles.
so yeah,
I like
eventually they managed to escape in the APC, and Ripley. This is where again her PTSD flares up, and she basically drives the APC harder and farther than she really needed to, because she just really wants to get away from the aliens. And again, who can blame her? And at that point, they come up with the plan to basically lift off from the planet and nuke them from orbit, just to make sure that the aliens are actually dead. Unfortunately, their shuttlecraft that they had taken was also infiltrated by aliens, and the man and woman that were left on board, they get eaten, and the aircraft is destroyed, which, yes, is then followed by this scene.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
So now, having said all of that, it looks like everyone is trapped on the planet. And so what do you guys think so far?
Yeah, it's got this chaos at this point.
So, Eddie, what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I mean, so far, like it's yeah, it gets a bit like a bit choppy at this point, and they just basically want to get out of there, but the gun turrets they run out, and they're I think that was after this point. Anyway, yeah, it's it gets a bit chaotic, all right, at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. So they figure out basically there's another way off by basically sending a signal for help. Meanwhile, they have to find a way to sort of hole up in one building and survive. Hudson Bishop, who again is the android, he volunteers to send out the SOS while everyone else tries to work together to survive. And this is where we get that scene where they're testing out the gun turrets. And we also have a conversation between Burke and Ripley, where Burke's like, what if we brought one of those live face huggers home with us? Because think about it, those aliens would be great for our weapons division. And Ripley is looking at him like, you did not just say that. After what we just happened, you seriously cannot even think about bringing one of those home. So again, it just drives home kind of the point that we made in the last movie, where the bad guys really aren't the aliens. They're just a species that, is letting nature take its course as far as they're concerned. They're the predator, the humans are the prey. The real bad guys are the company. Right, Crit?
Yep.
So let me ask you this. Suppose the company was successful in getting one of those aliens home. What do you think would have happened? Do you think they would have been successful in breeding and harnessing them for weapons purposes? Or do you think it's gone downhill?
I think it is weapons that they were trying, biochemical or something.
Yeah, I think so too. Honestly, I think it would have just resulted in a lot of people dying trying to control these things. I think honestly it would end up like Jurassic Park, where they try and control and contain these monsters, but they, of course, you can't contain them, and people die because of it.
It'd be actually a worse version than Jurassic Park.
It would,
Even
because
Jurassic Wars. Mine Jurassic Park.
yeah, because the aliens are faster and arguably smarter and way more deadly than even a T-Rex. Wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah.
So they continue with the movie. Sorry, they continue with their plan to survive. And of course, Ripley has more bonding time with Newt. In fact, at a certain time, she goes to check on her and sees that Newt crawled under her bed to sleep because she was basically scared to actually sleep in her bed. And so Ripley crawls under the bed to be with her and sort of falls asleep herself. However, she wakes up and notices that one of the Bacta tanks that had the live face hugger in it is on the floor, empty. She also reaches up onto the bed for her gun that she had, and it's gone. And she immediately puts two and two together that Burke trapped her and Newt in the room with the face huggers to try and get the alien embryos into the two of them to then smuggle home. And so this is once again another place where we dip back into a little bit of horror movie-esqueness, and it's Ripley and Newt having to survive against the face huggers pretty much unarmed. How do you guys think this scene went?
It was suffice to say, it was like it was a bit like it was a bit tough there for a while, but I mean, like they got the two of them in the end, thankfully. But it's yeah, it was just a terrifying scene. Like it was like where like the two of them are basically helpless, like like
Yes.
no gun or anything, but like that, and they were just like up against it.
Mm-hmm. And you really felt the terror of Ripley and Newt, as they're trying so desperately to escape. As they're trying so desperately to escape being trapped, but of course they can't.
Yeah.
And although how
You were doing everything like that. Like they tried like breaking the glass and everything, and
yeah,
they couldn't do it.
and the way that they eventually get rescued is actually pretty genius, where Ripley picks up a lighter that's sitting there, lights it, and holds it right next to a fire alarm that then starts not just the sprinklers being set off, but it alerts the rest of the team that there's a fire in there.
Yeah.
And that's when they learn, oh crap, Ripley and Newt are in there, and there's face huggers on the loose.
Yeah, exactly right. It was very clever thinking on Ripley's part.
Yes. And they managed to basically save Ripley and Newt from the face huggers just in the nick of time. In fact, one face hugger kind of halfway has a hold on Ripley because it has that prehensile tail that's wrapped around Ripley's neck, although it hasn't made full face connection yet.
Yeah. But he was there like that, trying to block it.
And then, of course, Newt has another face hugger trapped by the tail, kind of pushing a filing cabinet against its tail into the wall to pin it there. And in comes the team, and they manage to shoot down and destroy the face huggers. And so they realize that Burke did this, and so they apprehend him. But they don't have time to really do anything about it because they notice that the aliens are approaching them now, and the turrets are going off, destroying them. They're doing their job, but eventually the turrets run out of ammo in one sector, but in another sector the aliens retreat, only to find another way in by climbing in through the ceiling. And this starts another big battle where battle / escape. It's all. Now, before I go any further, again, I have to go over a scene that I kind of realized I skipped that is important. The team is sort of theorizing as to where the eggs are coming from, because they figure out that the eggs are laid in a certain area. The facehugger jumps out, attaches, and then the xenomorph is birthed from the host. But where did the eggs come from? And Hudson theorizes that maybe they're like, quote, an ant hive, obviously meaning bees, where the xenomorphs have a queen who basically runs the whole show. And of course they dismiss it at the time, or Vasquez does, but Ripley's like, no, that could be possible. So I just realized I wanted to go over that before I go. By the way, Crit, you missed the part where I described Ripley and Newt versus the facehuggers. Anything you want to say about that scene?
Yeah. That's probably where Ripley just, she pushes herself to rescue Newt.
Yes.
And it's probably, to me, the most intense part of the movie. I will say that the same set they use for the air refinery is the same set they used as Axis Chemicals in Batman '89.
Yes, which honestly, I only just barely noticed it after you mentioned that. I would have to really pay attention to it watching it again, which I will for sure be watching this movie
So
again.
this is a real nuclear. This was a real nuclear plant they were filming at. So,
Moss says Xenomorphs is the evolution of the British Empire.
Xenomorphs.
I don't get it, but I'm sure it's funny to you, Charlie. So anyways, back to the present, where the aliens are now attacking the survivors in their bunker, and they're trying their absolute best to survive. Unfortunately, they take more losses. Hudson dies. Vasquez and Gorman die, which, by the way, throughout the second half of the movie, Gorman is recovering from a bad concussion. In fact, Vasquez dies by getting some of the aliens' acid blood on her leg, and that immobilizes her. And she and Gorman basically are like in Last Stand in Call of Duty. You know how you're laying there and you're shooting the gun?
Or Kenobi Episode 5, which that ripped off that scene.
Yeah, where basically the xenomorphs are bearing down on them from all sides, and they have no choice but to grab one of their grenades and just detonate it right there where they sit, sacrificing themselves to destroy the xenomorphs.
That scene makes more sense than Kenobi Episode 5, where she could have threw the grenade at the stormtroopers.
she had the space to do it, but here in this scene, they're in a tight vent system. They really don't have the room to throw. So yeah, that's really all that they could do, especially when you consider they were out of ammo everywhere else. Okay, Mospierre says, Xenomorphs have a queen. What else has a queen? The British Empire. You probably get these jokes better than we do, Eddie, since you're over in that part of the world.
Actually, I don't. I didn't get them at all.
Okay. So and also Burke dies because he tries to play chicken and run away and save his own hide, but eventually he comes face to face with a xenomorph and dies for it. So Corporal Hicks, Ripley, and Newt are the last survivors. Oh, and Hudson, who's still putting out the SOS. They continue to run away, but the explosion.
Bishop, not Hudson.
Sorry,
Hudson.
Bishop. Thank you.
Hudson got pulled under. I think
Yes.
Hudson went out the best because he's like, "Yeah, you want some?" And then he gets pulled.
Yeah.
It ends up being Hicks, Ripley, and
Yeah. Which reminds me, I gotta play the clip again for you.
Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. He ain't gonna jump no more.
So, during the escape, the explosion from Vasquez and Gorman sacrificing themselves knocks Newt down this one. It looks like a garbage chute. I don't know really what it is, like another air vent that kind of slides down. And she's now basically under the facility. And by this point, the facility for sure is about to explode. Ripley and Hicks are doing their absolute best to cut through the floor to get to her, but by the time that they actually do, she's gone. And the Xenomorphs got her, but they didn't kill her. They took her. So this part admittedly confused me. If the Xenomorphs were so hell-bent on killing the team as a whole, why did they take Newt instead of killing her? Aside from the fact of, hey, we don't want to see these monsters actually kill a kid in a movie.
Most of the Marines weren't killed. Were just taken to be incubated. Apone, Apone, Hudson, yep. Hudson, yep. You didn't know that? That was the whole point.
No, I didn't know that.
The aliens weren't really, they wanted to just incubate them, so.
Incubate.
Yeah, they didn't. Maybe I missed it when I watched it, but it wasn't clear to me. I thought they were just killing them, much like the first Alien did with the crew of the Nostromo.
That's the thing. If you like, I mean, if you looked at the extended version of these, you'd actually understand it a lot better. But it's basically so some of them get they choose to either kill them or make sure they're incubated.
And there's a deleted scene where Ripley, when she goes into the facility, actually finds Burke in the wall before he finds Newt.
Really?
I like to think Burke was just killed.
Yeah, that seems a little more fitting to him. So, continuing on, even though Ripley really does not want to, they kind of have to leave Newt there, at least for now. Because, the Xenomorphs are really bearing down on them a lot. So there's this one scene where they're in the elevator and the Xenomorphs are bearing down on them again. They manage to destroy them, but some of the blood gets onto Hicks, and it gets right here in his armor. And it eats through his armor, but doesn't quite manage to eat through his skin. Though still he's in bad shape. So they make it back to Bishop, who says, we have 23 or so minutes left before this place goes up. Ripley goes onto the ship, grabs a rifle, and instructs Bishop to fly right into the center of the building because she's going to go after Newt. She goes deeper into the building, which, by the way, what she chooses to take down there with her is actually really cool. She has both a standard rifle that she did get training to use in this movie and a flamethrower, a full-size flamethrower attached right to the side of that rifle. It looks really cool.
Let's not forget that James Horner decided to steal music from Search for Spock in this scene when the ship lands. I even said during the watch party, this sounds too much like the Search for Spock.
Okay, I gotta look at this.
Hold on, I know the scene. I need to look up. I still think that the Rafikon and Search for Spock is the best Star Trek soundtracks because they just sound so good. But this was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't see.
Oh, here it is. I found it. Let me share my screen. Exhibit A of being a lazy composer. Now, rest in peace, Mr. Horner, but you could have done better. So, here, Exhibit A, the Search for Spock. And then Exhibit B.
I could barely hear that, by the way.
Oh.
I heard it enough, but I had to turn up my volume to do it.
Okay, and then Exhibit A.
Really?
To me, it sounds different enough to be passable.
Lazy.
It's very similar. I'll give him that.
Yeah. I think. Actually, hold on a second. I think I found a better version. Let me try and pull this up.
Yeah, there you go.
That's from Wrath of Khan, by the way, which, again, sounds different enough to me to be passable, but I can for sure hear the similarities. Although, to be fair, that is not the worst case of that I have seen. John Williams once did a very, very similar thing. Let me show you this.
Are you talking about Attack of the Clones?
Yes. So for those that don't know, there is a little musical motif that John Williams is a great, I think he is the greatest movie composer of all time. But given how in 2003 he was working on Attack of the Clones and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, pretty much back to get back with each other.
Don't forget he was working on The Terminal, Spielberg's The Terminal.
Yep.
And Minority Report.
Yes.
So four movies at the same time.
Yes. So the result of that is this. By the way, this is not copyrighted, I promise. Or sorry, we don't own this. This is John Williams. See, that's not even the example I was thinking of. It's more along here. This, by the way, is the Zam Westel chase through Coruscant. Remember that? And then here's... And that's the Quidditch match. So yeah, that to me is even worse of an example than what James Horner did in this. But at the same time, I think it's still excusable just given how busy John Williams was at that point. As you said, 4 movies at once. So anyways, Ripley is let off in this building, and she proceeds alone through the building, spraying her flamethrower every so often. And again, it's much like before, where the deeper she goes, the more and more organic, the walls seem. And she eventually manages to find Newt, who was starting to get cocooned, but not quite yet. And it's obvious that she never had a face hugger on her yet. And by the way, side note, I think at least in the theatrical version, I would have had this be where it was revealed that Apone and all of them were getting cocooned up and impregnated with the aliens too. But that's just me. And also, do we see exactly what happens to them in the director's cut? Do we see them get?
I think
that?
I think we do, yeah.
I think we did see. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I will have to look it up. I'm pretty sure actually that Aliens was in those movies Matt Cave sent me a year ago. I need to find out for sure, because if so, and I have the director's cut, if it's the DVD version, I can host another watch party for it, and we can find out for sure. But anyways, she rescues Newt, and they're on their way out, but they come across a giant nest of eggs. And they look over, and they spot the Queen. Giant egg-laying sack and everything. How did you guys think the reveal of the Queen did?
Menacing.
Yeah.
This was an amazing visual feat. The alien, like, you did not expect this at all, unless you were listening to the dialogue closely. The reveal was just out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing I really liked about this scene was the aliens were surrounding Ripley until Ripley threatened the eggs, and then the Queen silently told them to back off with her. Did you like that?
Repeat that?
Okay, so the Ripley and Newt were getting surrounded by the aliens in front of the Queen. And basically Ripley friend the eggs, and that forced the Queen to telepathically tell her followers, her workers, to back off, basically, and let them go.
Yes. But then, of course, the Queen herself decides to give chase. And
because Ripley destroys the eggs.
Yes. And somehow also the Queen is able to detach herself from her egg-laying sac.
Yeah. Well, Ripley destroyed the sack anyway, so.
Yes. So the Queen gives chase, and by this point, the building is really starting to go up. Okay, is this? Can you full screen that? Oh, so okay, so this is where we see Burke.
Oh God! It's inside. Oh.
I can hardly hear that.
He just said there's something inside me, and then she gives him the detonator. So
okay. I'll have to look up that scene myself, or see if I actually have my copy of this movie.
You gonna buy a copy? Haha.
I believe
I don't think it's on 4K. I'm disappointed.
no, I believe Matt Cave sent me a copy. I just
Oh,
need to find out for sure. But anyways, though, by this point the building is really starting to go up in flames. And Newt and Ripley are just barely able to escape the Queen in an elevator, although the Queen is somehow able to use an elevator itself. They get back to the landing pad where they were dropped off, and Bishop isn't there with the ship. But he still manages to save them at the last minute. And they think, just like in the first movie, they think they're safe. They get back to their, I guess, mothership, not Earth Space Dock, but the ship that brought them there, where they cryosleeped. And they're having a good tender moment between Ripley and Bishop, where Ripley admits her respect that she has for Bishop, which is big, considering what the last android that she knew had done. But suddenly, Bishop gets impaled from behind by a giant tail, and of course we see him spew up all the white blood that he has, and he's lifted up, and it's revealed that the Queen hitched a ride on their ship. And the Queen then completely tears Bishop in two at the hip. And by the way, Bishop somehow survives this because I get it.
He's an android, so
I know, but at the same time, I get it. He's an android, but there has to be a certain, especially as much fluid as he lost, there has to be a certain level of he just cannot function anymore.
Well, Ash was still functioning with a head, so.
Well, suffice to say, he couldn't feel his legs after that.
Yeah.
And he actually does say that in the movie.
Yeah. I think it's also not a far-fetched to say that by this point he's half the man he used to be. Come on, Crit, you got to do one now.
You could say he was 2 men and a half. I don't know.
That's all right.
Half alive, half.
It's all right. Crit's not able to be funny right now, but here's a clip of when Crit was funny once before.
Hey, I can sound like Cash Money. Did you know that?
Do it.
Let's hear it.
Oh my god. No. They put woke stuff. They put woke stuff in my Star Wars.
And by the way, all of that insanity that was happening over there on Master Paul's game room is happening here now. This is now also a gaming channel. So yeah, if you missed it the other night, Master Paul's game room is now defunct. It's going to revert back to what it was before, which is just me posting random covers of songs. But anyways, Newt goes to hide. And we get a scene of the Queen walking above where Newt is, and it's looking for her, but then it looks down, and you're looking at it from Newt's point of view, and it starts to go for her, but then Ripley comes in wearing the same loader that she wore in the first one, and she says the iconic line, "Get away from her, you B-word." And now we have a fight pretty much between two equals, the Queen and Ellen Ripley in the loader suit, which is now about the same size as the Queen. And it's the type of fight you would expect where they're just going blow for blow. And you said this, Crit, by the way, when we watched it. Shaky cam done right. So would you like to explain that?
Well, it's supposed to be chaotic. It goes well with the movie, and this pretty much, it's chaos with them jabbing at each other. Compare that to Kenobi, where it's shaky cam because Vader's supposed to be cool. I don't know. I didn't. I wanted the scene with Vader where he's toying with Reva to be like the Matrix, where it's focused on his attacks or her attacks, but it's not. They still thought they needed to shake the camera.
Yeah, it wasn't. This movie did it better. Let's just say it like that.
Yep.
So, continuing on, eventually it gets to where Ripley decides in order to completely defeat the Queen, she has to do the same thing she did in the last movie and send the Queen out the airlock. This time, however, Ripley is trapped in the airlock with the Queen and pretty much has to open the airlock with herself in it. Now, she manages to survive because she hangs on a lot, which I kind of call a little bit of BS on, and I have a hot take here. I think Ripley should have died here getting sucked out the airlock with the Queen because, and you told me this from Alien 3, is it true or not, that Ripley in Alien 3 is not the same person as Ripley in this movie?
No, I don't consider Alien 3 canon.
Assuming the logic that it is, though, if that was the direction they were going to go, that's a different Ripley in Aliens 3, they should have killed this Ripley. That way it's even more of a, oh my god, how is she here? But, you know,
I think that would ruin the movie.
I don't know. Let me look this up. I want to make sure that I'm not crazy.
Well, you would have to watch Alien 3. Are you saying you want to watch Alien 3? It's not a bad movie, but it's not. It's just not. It's disappointing, to say the least.
I'm trying to figure it out right now.
I consider the audio drama of Alien 3 with Michael Biehn, and you can, if you have Audible, you could listen to this. They did a audio drama of a unreleased, unproduced screenplay of Alien 3, where Ripley's more or less in a coma, and it's more about Hicks and Bishop. They're the heroes. I consider that the true Alien 3 because it doesn't change. I don't know. I just don't like Alien 3, and I don't consider it canon. I think the Alien franchise is good ending here. What do you think, Eddie? How about you?
I thought it was a means to the end as regards to like the way 3 was done. I mean, it was a full star cast. Like, I mean, like you can't doubt it on that.
All right. Maybe all right, fair enough. I did imagine that. I don't know how, but yeah.
You spoil yourself.
I didn't spoil myself. I accidentally made something up.
Made something up.
Yes. So, but here's what I'm gonna say too. I'm still gonna say Ripley should have died here.
No, nah.
If we're gonna go under the assumption that the story ends here, Ripley should have died. But
Ripley becomes the mother to Newt, and they live happily ever after. That's all that needs to be said. The alien menace is done. Kaput.
Or so they thought.
Yep. As in Conan, that is another story.
Yes. And this story shall also be told. But
I
think watch Alien 3.
No. But I don't think Alien 3 is that bad of a movie. Alien 4, on the other hand,
yeah.
Alien 3 to me is just more disappointing. Alien 4 is
like Alien 4
movie.
to a point is good, But as I say, like when it gets to that point, I mean, holy. Anyway, holy sarsaparilla sandwiches.
I don't need
shall
to
we
think
say.
about Ripley playing basketball. So,
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. But anyways, though,
Well, she's still saying, but anyway.
she is successful. I still stand by what I said, though, that I think it would have. I think
if the movie was a different tone, I would say go ahead. If it was the tone of Alien 3, I would say go ahead, kill her. But after all she's been through and she's finally got out of the gutter, I don't think she's deserving of a death. So I don't agree with you, Paul. If the movie was a different tone, yeah. Say if Aliens had the tone of The Last Jedi. I feel like Alien 3 has the tone of The Last Jedi compared to the tone of Aliens.
I'd probably disagree with you on that one, Chris.
I mean, I don't know. Okay. I'll rephrase it like this: if they were going to kill her, this would have been the time and how to do it. But they didn't. And then Ripley manages to save herself. And, we have that not bad for a human thing that Bishop says. And they all go back into cryosleep. So that is the end of Aliens. So with that, let me bring up my lists. So we can scratch it off one list and add to another.
A reminder that this is at the end of the movie is actually the time where she's able to sleep well.
Yes.
She had nightmares throughout the whole movie.
All right, so let me bring in the list of movies I have not seen. Here's Aliens. We're scratching that off. Oh, and a side note, by the way, the next place we're going is Blazing Saddles.
He rode a blazing saddle.
And let's add it now. Here's the big moment to the ranking. Where is this going to go?
There's a point in Blazing Saddles I just cannot.
You know what? I'm gonna do something. This is kind of cheating. I'm gonna do this. You think that's fair? It's right alongside Terminator 2. Terminator 2 and Aliens are tied for second place.
Oh, wow. That's fair.
So that is where things sit right now. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're not gonna have any ties in here. That's kind of cheap. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna really get
with Thor at least
by like the slimmest of hairs. And I said this last night. I'm going Terminator 2 over Aliens, but that's really, these could be interchangeable. But for
Newt's sad. Newt is sad.
Yeah, but for the sake of this list, I am putting Terminator 2 over Aliens. And Phil McCracken, what took you so long? So guys, that is it for this stream. But I think we have enough time for a gaming stream. And no, before anyone says anything, it is not going to be Skyrim. It's going to be Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Farts.
Yes. I want to do Kingdom Hearts specifically because I've actually started writing a Kingdom Hearts song, and I basically want to play it so that it's fresh in my mind while I'm attempting to write this song. So we will be starting that stream up here in a little bit. Gaming stream co-host, that's where we always meet up if y'all want to comment on these games with me. But as far as this stream goes, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, by the way, go and check out our merch store. The link is in the description. because all the merch has been updated now to the new Fandomology brand. And yeah, ordinarily this is where I would say the Force is family, but that's not our slogan anymore. So I now have to think of a new sort of outro catchphrase. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. But in the meantime, just see you guys later.